Okay. Today we will be discussing MVC architecture. This MVC architecture stands for Model View and the Controller Architecture. Your model represents the business data, whereas view it represents the presentation logic and the controller it represents the servlet. MVC basically it is a design pattern. The reason we go for the design pattern is to solve the recurring problems. Now, what happens is if you're putting the business logic and your controller logic and the presentation logic in a single circuit, if there is only change in the business logic, or if there is only change in this presentation logic, then your complete code needs to be compiled. So let's say okay, you're just changing the presentation of your website. Let's say if you're just changing the presentation of the website, one and you don't have to change any business logic, then you need to if the logic is present in the single servlet, if the logic is present in the single servlet, and if there is a change only in the business logic, then you need to test your sort of there's only change in the presentation logic, then you need to test the business logic as well as the business data as well. So what you do is you separate the business logic from the presentation logic. Presentation logic is the view that is presented to the user. The web page that is presented to the user that will come under your presentation logic. So this is how this works. You have the controller and you have model and you have got view. Controller is your servlet, model is your business data, and this is your view. We will understand how this will coordinate with each other. Now over here if you observe, you are requesting for some details. Employee number 100. So when you're entering for this details for employee number 100, the request, if you see it, is going to this do get servlet. Now do get servlet, it will interact with this model. It will interact with this model. This model or this business element, it will interact with your database. After it interact with the database, it is retrieving the details of the employee number 100. After it retrieves the details of the employee number 100, then it pass on these details to what is this, to this servlet. Then this servlet it pass on the details to your employee view. Then your employee view will have access. Then this employee view will have access to the business data. So over here, if you see this, the block diagram, you have got an employee. This employee will connect to this. From here it will get connected to the database and then retrieve these details. After it retrieves the details, it will store this in the request scope. It will store the model, that is employee number, Jack and the Tom. This will be recorded in the request scope. Now, up to here, its job was to connect to the service method, get the data. After it has retrieved the data from the database, it has stored it in the request scope. Now, it will pass this data to the employee view.jsp. So when it is passing this data to the employee view.jsp, as we observe, the request and the response objects also go. And then it will retrieve this. From the request scope, it will retrieve the employee.f name, and then it will retrieve the L name, and then employee ID. And then it retrieves the employee ID. So let me correct this. So from here it retrieves your F name, L name, and then the employee ID. Then you have that. from here it retrieves employee ID, F name, and then the L from this model. So this architecture is called as MVC architecture, model, view, and then the controller architecture. So reason we call this as model, view, and the controller architecture is this is your model, and this is this is your controller, this is your model, and this is your view. So whenever the request comes, it will go and hit the controller. Controller, it should retrieve this employee number 100. So it connects with this service. And this service in turn it connects with the database and pulls the data. After the data is returned, it pass on this data to your employee view.jsp. Then wherein again it will connect with this model to retrieve employee number, F name, and then the L name. The working is this one. Get connected, retrieve the data, store it in the request scope, and then call the request dispatcher. It will pass the control to this, and then your EMP view will access employee ID, F name, and then the L name. Clear with this? Is it clear? MVC architecture? Is the flow clear? Now let us write the code for that. So what you require is you require three things. Okay, you require model, and then you require view, and then again okay you require a controller, model, view, and then the controller. Oh sorry. So first step what we require is you need to create a form. Form action is equal to, let us take EMP sublet. This is your controller, and then input type is equal to text, name is equal to EMP ID. Input type is equal to submit. So after you're done with this, you click onto this MVC. Now you need to create a controller. Now when you're clicking on this controller, you need to create a servlet called EMP servlet. Click on this and then click finish. Now as we discussed, we require three things. Model you require view, and then controller. I create one more package for model. So your model will contain your class, your Pojo classes. So let us keep it as employee. Now, what we have over here is private integer, employee ID, and then private string, f name, and then l name. Alt insert, provide a constructor, no argument constructor. Alt insert, I'll provide a convenience constructor. And then you need to provide your setter and getter methods. So these are the requirements for the model. You need to provide a default constructor and then setter and the getter method. That is mandated. So once you are done with your model, then let me go back to this view. So to get string, what we have, correct, emp id is equal to request dot get parameter of employee ID. Request.get. Let me check what did we give. Okay, got emp ID. It is case sensitive. It has to be as it is. Otherwise, you will receive an error message. So let me fix that first. So after you're done with this, then if you see, okay, you need to connect to the model to retrieve 100 Jack and then Tom. So I will create a model over here. Employee E is equal to, in the real time when you're doing, if you see, okay, this class that is connecting to the database and then it is retrieving the details, that we will do it in the next step. As of now, I'll just create a model over here. Employee E is equal to new employee 100 integer dot pass int of employee ID, and then John, and then some XYZ name you can give. So and then add import model.employee. Then in the next step what you have to do is, so your model is ready, and then okay, you have to store this in the request scope. Till here you are done. Then this model you need to store this in the request scope. Request dot emp of E, and then you need to pass the control to the view. Request dispatcher, request dot get request dispatcher of emp view dot jsp, and then you will call rd dot forward request comma response. So this is how it works. Now you need to create under web pages, you need to create employee view.js. Click finish. So your JSP is used for presentation logic. Your JSP is used for presentation logic. So in JSP, you have something that is called as scriptlets. JSP, it is a combination of Java code as well as HTML. JSP, it is a combination of Java code as well as HTML. So in order to provide dynamic functionality, because HTML is static, in order to provide dynamic functionality to the web page, you need to put the Java code. Whenever you're placing the Java code, you will put it between these two types of tags: angular bracket, percentile, percentile, and then closing angular bracket. Left angular bracket, percentile, percentile, and then right angular bracket. This is how you do. So any Java code you are writing, it should be written into scriptlets. Now, if you have to retrieve, then as you have done in the yesterday, if set attribute is for setting the if set attribute is of setting the object in the request scope, then what is the corresponding attribute for retrieving? The corresponding attribute for retrieving the object from the request scope is get attribute. So request dot get attribute. If set is for retrieving, then get it. If set is to set the object, then you have got get attribute to retrieve it. So we have saved it with the name EMP. Add import, and then you need to typecast this to the employee. After you have typecast this to employee, you can call out.println method e dot get emp id. This is how you retrieve out.println of e dot get f name, and then out.println of e dot get f. You're done. Right click and then say run. Roma, is the flow clear? If you see over here, you're passing number 100. This is your view. Anything with which the user interacts is called as view. Then I click over here on submit query. So if I'm clicking on this submit query, now you see, okay, you're retrieving this employee number. If you see this, see, the request is going to this employee servlet. The request is going to employee servlet. When the request goes to the employee servlet, so here it goes. Here it is where your request is going. Say, let me take PowerPoint. See, here is where your request goes. Here is where your request is going. Then you're connecting to this. let me explain MVC concept one more time. MVC, it stands for model. MVC stands for model, view, entity, controller. Now what we have is your presentation logic will change from time to time. Your presentation logic will change from time to time. So when the presentation logic is changing from time to time, if you are writing, if you're changing the presentation logic from time to time, then it becomes very much difficult if you're writing all the stuff within a single servlet. If you're writing the complete stuff within a single servlet, Roma, can you just let me know your concern? Roma, you were about to say something? Okay, let me just explain it one more time. Thank you. Now, look, this is what we are discussing: controller, model, and then the view. The reason we go with this architecture is, now if you go with the simple stuff, this battery is gone. Now, the reason we go with this architecture is, let's say you're only going with this, the yesterday's topic, the request dispatcher. Or let me just take some other example what we have done previously. You can design all your presentation logic within servlets itself. So I can start decorating this stuff. Outdoor println. So this is how you write. This is HTML, then outdoor println. You write body and outdoor println bold. This stuff I'm making it as bold. Outdoor println of bold. Let me make the body color as green. PG color. Green. So this is called as presentation logic. I click on this form parameter and then click run. Now we did this something HR something you can type in. Now if you see, this is your presentation logic wherein we are keeping the web page green in color and then applying bold, etc., etc. This is not the correct presentation logic. At the minimum, you can say you are just giving some background color to the web page and then you are making this text bold in color. I can further change this by adding font. So let us make font white in color. Font color is equal to white. Let me refresh this page. Now over here, if you see, the font color has changed. So if in case if there is a minor change, that is only if you are just changing the basic font color, then what you have to do is you have to go to the servlet and then change it. So that is if you are developing the web applications or website using servlets alone, then you should know both. You should know HTML as well as you should know Java. You should know as HTML as well as Java. So if you're just making some minor changes, again you need to recompile the complete code and deploy the application. If you see over here, if I want to change the size is equal to, let's say, okay, I want to make it 15. So if I want to make the size 15, I'm not compiling it, neither I'm saving it. Let me just press F5. So if you see, okay, there is no change. If you want these changes to be affected, but because we are using the IDE, it has got auto deploy feature. Now like it is deploying, it is compiling and it is deploying. It is only after you compile and then deploy, then the changes will be affected. If you don't save and you don't compile it one more time, your changes will not be affected. So if you are developing the web pages using servlet technology alone, then you observe over here the presentation logic as well as the business logic. The presentation logic as well as the business logic, you will put it under a single servlet. You will put it under a single component. So if there is only, we are not changing any business logic. If there is a change in the presentation logic, that is, you are changing the color, increasing this font, aligning it either to the left or to right, then in that case, okay, it becomes very much difficult. Just hold on for a second. Let me get the battery. Okay, so this is what you're doing. Over here, if you see, you have combined business logic as well as presentation logic. Business logic and then presentation logic also. This is not a good design principle because website designs, it will change from time to time. Website designs, it will change from time to time. So if there is only a change in the presentation logic, you need to test, or your business logic will also get affected. So what do we do is we separate your business logic and as well as presentation logic. Business logic is separated from the presentation logic. Is it clear so far? Is this clear? This one. Okay. So now our job is to separate this business logic and the presentation logic. Let's take help of the previous example, request MVC itself. Now what are we doing is, let this model be there, controller I have. Now I'm doing all this stuff, so let me remove this. I have created this employee object. Now again, okay, I'll start writing the presentation logic. Print written out is equal to response dot get written. And this is your text slash HTML. Add import. Okay, sorry. You need to just call this one. And then now I start writing this out.println. This is my presentation logic. So business logic and the presentation logic, we are keeping it in the same sublet, out.println of slash HTML. So HTML, you use it for presenting the web page to the user. And then you write the body element. So bg color is equal to, you can give any color of your choice. Anyway, this is not used. Out.println slash body. Something went wrong over here. Okay. So you have to be again careful when you're designing slight comma, or if you don't put the quotation marks, it will give you an error message. So out.println. Let me use it. Let me just make it simple. Body. What we have to do is employee ID is equal to e dot get employee ID, and then let me use break. In order to move the cursor onto the next line, I need to go with the break, and if I want to draw a line, I can go with the horizontal line HR, and then again out.println. I have got fname is equal to e dot get fname, and then out.println. Let me draw a line one more time, and then I have got horizontal rule, and then out.println name is equal to e dot get name. So you are done with this. Is this clear so far? This is your business logic. This is what is your business logic, and this is your presentation logic. So you have combined business as well as presentation logic in the single circuit. Now let me execute this one more time. MVC 100. So if I'm hitting the submit query over here, you get this. Now let's say if I want to, as we have done this, I want to make it bold. So if I just want to make it bold, I cannot give this code in the hands of some XYZ person. So I should know Java as well as I should know HTML if I want to make any changes. Otherwise, I will not be able to make any changes. So if you're putting your business logic and the presentation logic in the same servlet, then you should know web designing as well as you should know web development. So over here, I say that I want to make it bold. Out.println of bold. You need to make changes to the servlet. So I should know where to place which tag. So this content, this complete content, I want to make it into bold. So this is where I'm placing this tag. So this is the starting and this is the ending. So the complete content within these B and B tag, B stand for bold tag, will become bold. I save the document and I again go to the web page, hit F5. Now it is. Font color, let's say, again we want to change the font color. Font color is equal to, let me select green. You can even go with any hash code value. So if you observe slight changes, just changes in color and all, then you need to make changes to the servlet. So I press F5. So this is what the problem what you face is when you're putting business logic and the presentation logic within the same servlet, it becomes very much difficult to design the web application. You need to type it. All the stuff you need to type it. You cannot, you don't have any choice other than typing it. So it becomes very much difficult. And presentation logic, it changes from time to time. Presentation design, web design. So in order to overcome this, we have got MVC pattern. So now, do you observe the problem what you're facing? Now, if in case if I have to put this into a table, rather than just doing this, rather than just putting it as onto 3 different lines, if I want to put it onto the table, and again I need to change this stuff. Again, I have to change this stuff. So if you have to just one piece of code, it becomes very much difficult to change. So for that reason, what we do is you separate your business logic and the presentation logic. The stuff you will keep over here, and the stuff presentation, anything that is related to presentation will go to something that is called as JSP. So your presentation logic will be taken care by JSP. So in JSP you will have HTML plus your Java code. This is your HTML code, this one. Whatever you are writing it inside the tags, that is the HTML. And this is Java. So your JSP is a combination of both HTML and then the Java. So this will fall under HTML and pure HTML, and this is your e.depname. This one will come under your Java code. So this logic, this presentation logic, we will be moving it to a JSP page. HTML and then you have got Java. So the advantage what you get is your web designers will take care of HTML, and web developers, that is you people, we people will be taking care of Java. So that is why, okay, if you observe on the web, if you browse any job portals, you will have these are 2 different roles. People who design the web pages, they are called as web designers, and the people who write the code for the web application, they are called as web developers. So designing part will be taken, or the HTML part, the designing part will be taken care by web designers, whereas web developers, they can concentrate on web development. So you'll get this advantage also. You can speed up the process. You have a separate team that will take care of designing the web pages, and you will have a separate team that will take care of developing the web pages. So is it clear? Okay, fine. If you have any doubt at any point of time, you just let me know, okay, so that I can align the content. So with this, we will wind up the session for today, and I'll be sharing some exercises with you. If possible, just try to complete that. So do you have any questions? Oh, yeah, I'll be emailing them. I'll just, like, based on the topics, whatever we have discussed, I will create 2 to 3 exercises and try to complete that. If you have any doubts, you can just email me back so that I can help you out. Okay. There's servlets in JSP. It is very much easy compared to your core Java. So no need to worry on that. But yes, in the initial, you need to learn the terminology and the flow. Once the flow is clear, then it's done. Yes, Monday it will be 7:30 p.m. Okay, sir. I'll be sharing the exercises with you. Just try to complete them. Without fail, you can try to complete them. All step-by-step instructions I'll be giving. So, bye-bye. Take care.